High in the towering peaks of the Himalayas, where the air thins and the sky feels close enough to touch, lies a land wrapped in mystery, Tibet. For centuries, this remote and sacred place has guarded secrets so profound they seem to defy time itself. Picture ancient monasteries clinging to cliffsides, their walls whispering stories of lost knowledge, and artifacts so baffling that even the most seasoned historians struggle to explain them. These aren't just relics of the past, they're puzzles waiting to be solved, each one a tantalizing clue to a history far stranger than we've ever imagined. What if I told you that hidden among these snow-capped mountains are objects that shouldn't exist? Artifacts that challenge everything we think we know about Tibetan spirituality, technology, and even the boundaries of human achievement. Some glow with an otherworldly light, others bear inscriptions in languages no one can decipher, and a few seem to possess properties that modern science still can't replicate. These aren't legends, they're real, physical mysteries scattered across temples and caves, waiting for someone to piece together their stories. And today, we're embarking on a journey to uncover 30 of the most astonishing ones. Imagine holding an object crafted thousands of years ago, yet so advanced it feels out of place in its own time, or stumbling upon a relic that seems to hum with energy, as if it's still carrying out some ancient, forgotten purpose. From shimmering metallic discs rumored to be blueprints for celestial machines, to statues that weigh far more than their size suggests, these artifacts don't just belong to Tibet, they belong to the unsolved mysteries of our world. So settle in, because what you're about to discover will blur the line between history and legend, leaving you questioning how much we truly understand about the past and what else might still be hidden, waiting to be found. The first relic on our journey is as mysterious as it is mesmerizing: the Singing Bowl of Lhasa. Crafted from an unknown alloy, this ancient bowl defies explanation. When rubbed with a wooden mallet, it doesn't just produce sound, it sings, emitting deep, resonant tones that seem to vibrate through the air and even through the listener's body. What's baffling is that there's no visible mechanism inside. No strings, no hidden compartments, just smooth metal that somehow transforms touch into harmony. For centuries, Tibetan monks have used bowls like this in sacred rituals, claiming the vibrations can align the mind and even heal the body. But how does it work? Scientists who have studied similar bowls suggest the metal might contain a rare blend of minerals, forged in a way that amplifies specific frequencies when struck. Others theorize the craftsmanship involves lost acoustic techniques, precise shapes and thicknesses calculated to create these haunting tones. Watching a monk use the bowl is like witnessing a ritual from another world. The sound starts as a whisper, then swells into a deep, pulsating hum, filling the temple air with an almost tangible energy. Some who have heard it describe a sensation of weightlessness, as if the sound itself could lift them from the ground. And while modern replicas exist, none match the depth or complexity of the original, leading many to wonder if the bowl's secret lies not just in its design, but in something even more extraordinary. Could it be that the metal itself was sourced from a place beyond our understanding, or that the artisans who made it possessed knowledge we've since forgotten? One thing's for certain, this isn't just a musical instrument. It's a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, a relic that challenges what we know about sound, science, and the unseen forces that might still linger in these ancient mountains. Towering over the ancient walls of Gyantse Monastery stands an iron pillar that shouldn't exist, not here, not like this. Unlike ordinary iron, which succumbs to rust and decay over centuries, this massive structure has defied time, its surface eerily untouched by corrosion despite standing exposed to the elements for over 1,000 years. Metallurgists who have studied it are stumped. The pillar's composition reveals a level of craftsmanship far beyond what Tibetan technology was thought to be capable of at the time. with traces of phosphorus and other elements meticulously blended to create a rust-resistant alloy. Even more baffling, the closest known parallel isn't from Tibet at all. It's the famous Iron Pillar of Delhi, another ancient marvel with near-identical properties located hundreds of miles away. How did two cultures, separated by vast distances and seemingly disconnected, achieve such eerily similar feats of metallurgy? Some researchers argue it's evidence of a lost network of knowledge, a thread of advanced craftsmanship woven across ancient Asia. Others go further, pointing to the pillar's bizarre resilience as potential proof of something beyond human ingenuity. Could this metal have been forged with techniques or even materials not of this world? Local monks tell stories of celestial beings descending from the sky, gifting their ancestors with sacred objects infused with otherworldly power. Skeptics dismiss these tales as myth, but then how do we explain the pillar's inexplicable durability? Modern science can't replicate its exact composition, and even today's most advanced alloys degrade faster under similar conditions. Standing before the pillar, you can't help but feel the weight of its mystery. The surface is smooth, almost glass-like, with faint inscriptions worn by time but still visible, a language no living scholar can fully decipher. Some symbols resemble celestial patterns, leading to theories that the pillar might have been an ancient astronomical tool, its metal engineered to resonate with cosmic energies. Whether a product of forgotten human genius or something more extraordinary, one thing is clear: this isn't just a relic of the past, it's a silent challenge, daring us to reconsider what we think we know about history, technology, and the hidden hand that might have shaped both. Deep in the caverns of Tsang, two crystal skulls rest in the flickering torchlight of a long-sealed cave, objects so precisely carved, so unnervingly symmetrical, they seem to defy the hands that made them. Carved from flawless quartz, these skulls catch the light in ways that shouldn't be possible for artifacts believed to be centuries old. Their surfaces lack the telltale marks of primitive tools, and their proportions mirror human anatomy with an accuracy that borders on eerie. Even more perplexing, they're nearly identical to the famous crystal skulls of Mesoamerica, despite Tibet and the Mayan world having no known contact. Holding one of these skulls, you'd swear it was machine-made. The eye sockets are perfect hollows, the teeth aligned with mathematical precision, the jawbone so delicately hinged it seems capable of movement. Modern gemologists have examined them and found no trace of modern tool marks, no evidence of diamond-tipped drills or laser cutting. The quartz itself is unnervingly pure, free from the flaws typical of natural crystals, almost as if it was grown or selected for this purpose. How could ancient artisans have achieved such perfection without advanced technology? Some researchers argue these skulls were painstakingly polished over generations, using rudimentary abrasives and almost unimaginable patience. Others counter that the level of symmetry suggests something far more sophisticated, a lost method of shaping stone, or even tools we've yet to rediscover. Then there's the mystery of their purpose. Tibetan monks speak of the skulls as vessels of wisdom, objects that store knowledge or even communicate with other realms. Ritual texts describe them being used in ceremonies where monks would meditate for days, staring into the crystal's depths until visions appeared. But skeptics point to the skull's bizarre similarity to Mayan artifacts half a world away. Could there have been a connection between these cultures that history forgot? Or does the answer lie in something stranger, an ancient global tradition, or even an outside influence that left these hauntingly identical objects across continents? Gazing into the hollow eyes of one of these skulls, you can't shake the feeling that it's watching you back. Light bends through the quartz in ways that create fleeting illusions, faces in the reflections, movements in the shadows. Scientists have documented unusual optical properties in the crystal, with some speculating it might amplify or focus certain wavelengths of light. Were they designed to interact with human perception, to trigger altered states of consciousness? Or is their true purpose still waiting to be uncovered, Whatever the answer, these aren't mere curiosities. They're enigmas carved in stone, silent witnesses to a past that refuses to fit neatly into the stories we tell about history. In the dimly lit hall of Samai Monastery, where butter lamps cast flickering shadows across ancient murals, a bronze statue stands with a secret that defies all logic. Crafted in the 15th century, the statue depicts Yamantaka, the fierce Buddhist deity of wisdom and destruction, but its most astonishing feature isn't its intricate craftsmanship. Monks and pilgrims swear that during certain rituals, the statue rises from its pedestal, hovering inches above the ground as if freed from gravity itself. Witnesses describe the moment with reverence. The air thickens, chants grow louder, and slowly, impossibly, the statue lifts into the air, suspended for minutes before settling back down. Skeptics, of course, dismiss it as trickery or mass hysteria, but try telling that to the monks who have spent lifetimes in these halls. They'll point to the statue's worn base, untouched by the scraping or mechanisms you'd expect if it were a mechanical hoax. Then there's the matter of timing. The levitation never occurs outside of specific ceremonies, when prayers reach a crescendo and the room hums with collective energy. Could there be a connection between the ritual's vibrations and the statue's defiance of physics? Some scientists have quietly investigated, theorizing about hidden magnetic fields within the bronze, or perhaps a cleverly concealed system of weights and counterbalances. Yet no one's been able to replicate the phenomenon under controlled conditions, leaving researchers grasping at thin air. The statue itself offers no easy answers. Cast from an unusual alloy, its metallurgical composition includes traces of metals rarely found in Himalayan art, with a density that seems to shift subtly during rituals. One physicist, after analyzing the statue with portable scanners, noted brief fluctuations in its electromagnetic signature, tiny bursts that corresponded with the moments witnesses reported the levitation. But without dismantling the sacred artifact, which monks fiercely oppose, the data remains frustratingly incomplete. Then there are the legends. Ancient texts speak of Yamantaka not just as a deity, but as a keeper of hidden knowledge, a being who could step outside the bonds of earth. Some monks whisper that the statue isn't merely a representation, it's a vessel, infused with something far older than its bronze form. Whether a marvel of forgotten engineering or a phenomenon beyond our understanding, the floating statue of Yamantaka refuses to be categorized. It exists in that elusive space between myth and reality, challenging anyone who encounters it to reconsider where science ends and mystery begins. Hidden in the vaults of a remote Himalayan monastery lies a painting that doesn't just depict the divine, it seems to channel it. The self-illuminating Thangkas, a sacred scroll nearly 8 centuries old, defies every law of optics. In daylight, it appears as an exquisite but ordinary Buddhist artwork, rich with intricate depictions of deities and mandalas. But when the sun sets and the monastery falls into darkness, something extraordinary happens. The Thangkas continues to glow, its colors softly pulsing with an otherworldly light. No candles, no lanterns, just the painting itself radiating as if lit from within. Scientists who have examined it are baffled. Modern pigment analysis reveals no trace of phosphorescent compounds, no radioactive elements, nothing that could explain this persistent luminescence. The paints are made from crushed minerals and plant dyes typical of medieval Tibetan art, yet somehow they emit light. One theory suggests the scroll's linen might have been treated with a lost alchemical process, perhaps involving rare Himalayan herbs or minerals that react to atmospheric changes. But when researchers replicated traditional recipes, none produced this effect. Others speculate the glow stems from the painting's sacred geometry, the precise alignment of its symbols and figures somehow trapping or reflecting ambient energy in ways we don't yet understand. Then there's the timing. Monks claim the glow intensifies during certain rituals, as if the painting responds to spiritual energy. infrared cameras have captured fleeting heat signatures along the Thangkas borders during these moments, though no physical source for the warmth has ever been found. Footage of the phenomenon is haunting. In pitch-black rooms, the Thangkas' blues and gold shimmer like distant stars, its central Buddha figure appearing almost three-dimensional, as if stepping out of the scroll. Witnesses describe an overwhelming sense of calm, as if the light itself carries a silent, meditative frequency. Could this be a case of divine intervention, as the monks believe, or is it evidence of an advanced artistic technology, a forgotten way of harnessing natural energies? The Thangkas' glow has outlasted empires, untouched by time or decay, its secret as luminous and as elusive as the light it emits. One thing's certain: in the presence of this artifact, the line between art and miracle blurs, leaving even the most skeptical observers questioning what forces might still linger in these ancient pigments. Nestled in a glass case within the shadowed halls of Pamako Monastery rests a relic that seems to pulse with life, the bloodstone of Guru Rinpoche. At first glance, it's just a rough-hewn crimson boulder, its surface unremarkable save for deep, vein-like fissures. But during lunar eclipses, something extraordinary happens. Witnesses swear the stone begins to weep, a thick, dark liquid seeping from its cracks, dripping slowly onto the altar below. To the faithful, this isn't just geological seepage. It's the sacred blood of Padmasambhava himself, the legendary tantric master who brought Buddhism to Tibet, said to have blessed this stone with his essence before vanishing into the mountains. Scientists who have sampled the liquid confirm it contains iron oxides and organic compounds resembling hemoglobin, though none can explain why the phenomenon occurs exclusively during eclipses. Geologists point to rare atmospheric pressure shifts or thermal expansion in the stone's porous structure, but even they admit the timing is unnervingly precise. Slow-motion footage captures the moment in eerie detail. As the moon's shadow creeps across the sky, the first droplets form along the stone's ridges, swelling until gravity pulls them free. The liquid moves with an almost deliberate rhythm, as if guided by unseen hands. Monks chant nearby, their voices rising in harmony with the droplets' fall, a ritual unchanged for centuries. For devotees, the stone is a living testament to Guru Rinpoche's promise that his blessings would endure. As long as the moon waxes and wanes, they speak of visions glimpsed in the liquid's reflection, faces of past lamas, distant landscapes, even the Guru himself smiling back. Skeptics argue the stone's behavior could stem from a unique mineral composition reacting to cosmic alignments, yet no laboratory has replicated its properties. One researcher noted the stone emits faint ultrasonic pulses during the phenomenon, frequencies just beyond human hearing, sparking theories about resonant vibrations triggering the seepage. Standing before the bloodstone, you feel the weight of competing truths, the pull of devotion, and the itch of scientific curiosity. The liquid dries without leaving stains, vanishing by dawn as if it were never there. Whether divine miracle or geological oddity, this relic refuses to be pinned down. It exists in the liminal space between worlds, a silent challenge to our need for tidy explanations, reminding us that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only witnessed. Resting side by side on a crimson silk altar in Shigatse's most secret chapel, the twin golden vajras gleam with light that seems to come from within. These aren't mere ceremonial daggers, they're mirrors of each other, perfectly matched down to the most minute swirls in their golden blades, despite one being nearly twice the length of the other. What defies logic is their weight. Pick them up, and your hands register identical heft, as if the larger dagger somehow counters its size with an impossible lightness. Metallurgists who have risked analyzing them under the watchful eyes of monks confirm they're forged from an alloy unlike any known gold blend, with trace elements that modern science can't identify. Then there are the inscriptions, etched along the blades in a script no linguist can place. The symbols resemble no known Tibetan, Sanskrit, or even ancient Atlantean writing, though fringe historians insist they match fragments from Plato's lost accounts of Atlantis. What's chilling is how the daggers seem to react to their environment. During coronation ceremonies for high lamas, witnesses report the blades humming faintly when held aloft, their vibrations syncing with the chanting crowd. Infrared scans have captured brief heat signatures along the inscriptions during these rituals, as if the symbols themselves were briefly activated by the energy in the room. Legends say the Vajras were gifts from the sunken realm, brought to Tibet by a hooded stranger who vanished after placing them in the hands of a 9th-century king. Skeptics argue they're medieval artifacts from a forgotten metallurgical tradition, their identical weight the result of meticulous craftsmanship. But then how to explain the eyewitness accounts from 1946, when a British explorer claimed the daggers levitated during a lightning storm, their inscriptions glowing blue before settling back onto the altar untouched? Holding one feels like gripping live wire, not with electricity but with a subtler current, something between pulse and prayer. The gold stays inexplicably warm to the touch, even in freezing temple chambers, and those who have wielded them in ceremony describe visions, flashes of underwater cities, towering spires swallowed by waves. Whether relics of a lost civilization or vessels of some deeper cosmic knowledge, the twin golden Vajras refuse to be mere museum pieces. They pulse with questions, demanding we reconsider not just history, but the very nature of the materials that shape our world. High above the cloud line in a monastery few outsiders have ever entered, a bronze bell hangs from ancient wooden beams, its surface worn smooth by centuries of devotion. This is no ordinary bell. When struck, it doesn't clang or chime. Instead, it shudders in near silence, producing vibrations so deep they're felt more than heard. Visitors describe the sensation as a wave passing through their bones, a hum that settles in the chest and lingers, as if the sound exists just below the threshold of hearing. Monks call it the bell of silent sound, and for generations they've used it to induce profound meditative states, guiding practitioners into trances that sometimes last for days. Scientific analysis reveals why this relic defies expectation. Audio spectrograms show the bell emits frequencies hovering around 18 Hz, deep into the infrasound range where vibrations bypass the ears and resonate directly with the body. At this frequency, the human brain undergoes subtle shifts. Some researchers suggest it syncs with the theta waves associated with deep meditation, or even the vibrational frequency of the Earth itself. Witnesses report altered perceptions, time slowing, colors intensifying, a sudden clarity of thought as if mental static has been wiped clean. What's even more puzzling is the bell's construction. X-rays reveal an internal lattice of chambers within the bronze, a labyrinth of tiny tunnels designed to fracture and redirect sound waves in precise patterns. Modern acousticians admit they've never seen anything like it, a design that shouldn't work, yet somehow transforms a strike into a cascade of near-silent energy. The alloy, too, is peculiar. Mixed with traces of meteoric iron, it produces harmonics that linger far longer than physics predicts. Monks claim the metal was forged during a specific lunar eclipse, infused with chants that still echo within its structure. Then there are the stories. Pilgrims who have sat beneath the bell during rituals speak of visions, floating cities, vast libraries of light, encounters with figures who seem to step out of the vibrations themselves. Skeptics dismiss these as hallucinations triggered by infrasound's known effects on the human mind. But how to explain the bell's selectivity? Not everyone experiences these visions, and those who do often describe nearly identical details, as if the sound taps into a shared hidden layer of consciousness. Standing in the bell's presence, you feel its power before it's even struck. The air seems denser, charged with anticipation. When the mallet finally connects, the silence isn't empty, it's full, a weightless pressure that wraps around you like an invisible current. Whether ancient acoustic engineering or something more esoteric, this relic doesn't just challenge our understanding of sound. It redefines the boundaries between the physical and the perceptual, leaving us to wonder how many other frequencies might be pulsing just beyond our senses, waiting to be felt. Embedded in the sheer cliff face of a forgotten Himalayan gorge, the petrified mantra wheel sits frozen in time, a stone disc half emerged from solid bedrock, its surface etched with faint syllables of sacred script. At first glance, it appears to be a bizarre trick of geology, a rock formation that just happens to resemble a Tibetan prayer wheel caught mid-turn, but lean closer and the details unsettle. The wheel's grooves align too perfectly with ancient carving techniques, its axis still bearing the eroded remnants of a handle, most haunting of all. The script spiraling across its surface isn't just on the exterior. Three-dimensional scans reveal identical carvings continuing beneath the stone, buried deep within the rock itself, as if the entire object was somehow swallowed by the earth and mineralized in an instant. Geologists are divided. Some argue this is a classic case of pareidolia, our brains imposing meaning on random patterns. They point to natural concretion processes where minerals crystallize around an organic core, occasionally forming disc-like shapes. Yet even skeptics pause when shown the scans. The buried carvings mirror surface patterns with unnatural precision, their Sanskrit mantras Om Mani Padme Hum still legible beneath layers of stone. Carbon dating of microscopic plant matter trapped in the rock suggests this formation hardened roughly 1200 years ago, coinciding with Tibet's early Buddhist period. If it's a natural formation, it's one that defies every known geological precedent. Then there's the wheel's eerie posture. Unlike scattered debris or collapsed ruins, it's positioned upright, as if someone was spinning it when petrification struck. Local shamans speak of a legend, a monk so devoted to his prayers that the gods froze him and his wheel in a moment of perfect devotion, embedding them in the cliff as a permanent testament to faith. Scientists offer a more terrestrial theory. A sudden volcanic event might have released mineral-rich gases that rapidly fossilized organic materials, preserving the wheel in a silica shell. But where's the rest of the monk? No human remains have ever been found nearby. Modern technology only deepens the puzzle. Ground-penetrating radar shows the wheel connects to a network of hollow spaces within the cliff, their geometry too regular to be natural caves. Some resemble collapsed tunnels, others appear to form chambers with what might be altars or pillars. Were these part of a larger monastery consumed by some catastrophic event? Or does the wheel mark the entrance to something far older, a site so sacred it was deliberately sealed beneath stone? Holding a laser scanner to the wheel's surface reveals the most tantalizing clue. The buried carvings aren't just copies of the surface script. In places, they deviate, forming an entirely different mantra, one that scholars recognize as a rare Vajrayana incantation for passage beyond the material world. Was this wheel meant to spin in two realms at once, a physical tool for prayer and a metaphysical key? The cliff walls around it hum faintly when struck, resonating at the same frequency as the bell of silent sound from our last relic. Coincidence or pieces of a larger, still hidden design? Standing before the petrified mantra wheel, you're struck by its duality, both artifact and landscape, prayer and stone. It refuses to fit neatly into any category, existing instead at the intersection of faith and geology, where devotion literally becomes part of the mountain. Whether a miraculous preservation or a geological fluke, it challenges us to reconsider how deeply human history might be woven into the very bones of the earth, and what other sacred surprises might still lie buried, waiting to be uncovered. The sky iron dagger of Drepung Monastery glints with a luster no earthly metal should possess, a blade forged not from terrestrial ore, but from the heart of a fallen star. This 17th century relic, reserved for the most sacred purification rites, slices through more than physical obstructions. Monks wield it in ceremonies to sever spiritual blockages, its edge believed to cleanse not just the body but the soul itself. What makes this dagger extraordinary isn't just its purpose, it's the very fabric of its being. Under a microscope, the metal reveals a swirling lattice of crystalline patterns unlike anything found in natural iron deposits, a mesmerizing testament to its cosmic origins. Metallurgical analysis confirms the dagger's otherworldly pedigree. The alloy contains high concentrations of nickel and iridium, metals rare on Earth but abundant in meteorites, alongside exotic crystalline structures that form only in the zero-gravity crucible of space. X-ray diffraction shows these patterns align in fractal-like waves, as if the metal froze mid-movement, preserving the chaos of its interstellar journey. Scientists compare it to the famed dagger of Tutankhamun, another sky iron artifact hinting at ancient humanity's fascination with celestial metals. But while Egyptian craftsmen worked with raw meteoric chunks, Tibetan smiths appear to have manipulated their star metal with eerie precision. The blade's edge, honed to a near-molecular sharpness, retains its keenness despite centuries of use, defying the brittleness typical of such alloys. Ritual texts describe the dagger's creation in cryptic terms. A 15th-century manuscript recounts how monks followed a burning star's trail to a smoldering crater where they found the metal singing in the earth. The forging process allegedly involved chants timed to planetary alignments, with smiths quenching the blade in glacier meltwater charged with mantra vibrations. Modern skeptics dismiss this as poetic embellishment, yet the dagger's acoustic properties defy explanation. When struck, it emits a harmonic resonance spanning multiple octaves, a physical impossibility for ordinary metal. Some theorists suggest the crystalline structure acts as a natural soundboard, amplifying specific frequencies tied to ritual harmonics. Comparisons to other sky iron relics reveal unsettling parallels. The Inuit peoples' Cape York meteorite blades, the Mesopotamian heavenly iron amulets, even the Toltec's legendary Sword of the Morning Star, all share uncanny metallurgical similarities despite originating continents apart. Indigenous traditions worldwide describe these objects as conduits to the divine, tools for navigating realms beyond the physical. Tibetan lore takes it further. The sky iron dagger doesn't just cut, it reveals. During certain meditative states, practitioners claim its surface clouds over, displaying visions of distant galaxies or past lives, as if the metal remembers its cosmic birthplace. Holding the dagger feels like gripping a piece of the universe itself. The metal stays curiously warm, even in freezing temple chambers, and those who have wielded it describe a tingling sensation, as if the blade vibrates at a frequency just beyond perception. Whether a marvel of ancient astrophysical insight or a vessel for something beyond our understanding, this relic blurs the line between tool and talisman. It challenges us to reconsider how our ancestors might have interpreted these gifts from the cosmos, not merely as raw materials, but as messages waiting to be decoded across the centuries. Among the treasures locked in a dimly lit chamber of Ungor Monastery lies a pair of relics that don't just reflect light. They reflect time itself. Known as the mirror gate fragments, these two polished metal shards seem unremarkable at first glance. But when placed at precise angles to one another, their surfaces ripple like water, resolving into vivid scenes from centuries past. One sliver might show the bustling marketplaces of medieval Lhasa, merchants bartering beneath prayer flags. The other reveals armored warriors patrolling the ruins of an empire no historian can identify. The images aren't static, they shift and breathe, as if the fragments are windows into living moments, their edges flickering with an uncanny light that defies the physics of reflection. Optical experts who have studied the fragments are at a loss. The metal, an alloy of unknown composition, bends light in ways no mirror should, creating depth and dimensionality that surpass even modern holography. Stranger still, the scenes aren't mere reconstructions. infrared scans reveal subtle details invisible to the naked eye. A child's face in the crowd, a half-eroded inscription on a distant wall, details so specific they've led researchers to real archaeological sites matching the reflections. One team even claims to have found the exact cobblestone courtyard depicted in a fragment, buried beneath modern construction, its layout identical down to the placement of long-vanished shrine pillars. Legends surrounding the fragment speak of a greater hole, the Mirror Gate, a vast portal said to have stood in the Himalayas, its surface offering glimpses of all times at once. Ancient texts describe it as a tool of the Dakinis, celestial beings who used it to navigate the threads of destiny. According to monastic records, the gate shattered during a 9th century ritual, its pieces scattered to prevent misuse. Only 2 have ever been recovered, each safeguarded by generations of monks who warn that aligning them for too long risks unraveling the viewer's place in the stream of time. Modern attempts to reconstruct the Mirror Gate digitally only deepen the enigma. CGI simulations based on the fragment's curvature suggest an original object nearly 12 feet tall, its surface mathematically designed to warp space-time at the edges. When animated, the reconstructed gate doesn't just reflect, it distorts, bending light into corridors that seem to lead somewhere beyond the screen. Engineers admit the effect shouldn't be possible with the fragment's dimensions. The angles are all wrong for traditional optics. Yet when a beam of light passes through both shards in sequence, sensors detect brief gravitational fluctuations, tiny ripples in the very fabric of reality. Watching the fragments in action is like peering through a keyhole into history. The images pulse with an almost magnetic pull, as if the viewer could step through the reflection. Some who have gazed too long report phantom sensations, the scent of incense from a vanished temple, the chill of mountain winds that haven't blown in 1,000 years. Researchers caution that the fragments might exploit some quantum phenomenon, their surfaces acting as 2-dimensional projections of higher dimensional information. Monks whisper a simpler truth, that time isn't linear, and these slivers of metal are merely showing what's always been there, waiting to be seen. Whether broken pieces of a lost technology or artifacts of a deeper cosmic truth, the Mirror Gate fragments refuse to fit neatly into any theory. They exist at the intersection of science and myth, challenging us to reconsider not just how we see the past, but whether the past ever truly fades at all. Locked away in a gilded reliquary at the heart of the Potala Palace rests an artifact that walks the line between sacred and unsettling, the Bone Rosary of the 5th Dalai Lama. Strung together from 108 human vertebrae, this 17th-century prayer necklace should have crumbled to dust centuries ago. Yet each bone segment gleams with an almost pearlescent sheen, polished smooth by generations of devout fingers, yet retaining an impossible ivory-like hardness that defies forensic logic. Forensic anthropologists who have examined the rosary under strict monastic supervision report baffling contradictions. X-rays reveal a bone density 3 times higher than human skeletal remains should exhibit, with microscopic structures more closely resembling fossilized mammoth ivory than decomposing organic matter. Even stranger, the calcium phosphate composition shows traces of an unidentified mineral binding agent, something that shouldn't exist in pre-industrial Tibet. Theories abound. Some researchers suggest the bones underwent an undocumented mummification process, perhaps involving rare Himalayan salts or medicinal plant resins known to Tibetan alchemists. Others point to the vertebrae's uniformity, each bead identical in size and shape, as if selected from individuals matching a precise physical profile. Historical records hint at darker possibilities. A cryptic passage from the Dalai Lama's private journals mentions the purified bones of realized beings, leading some scholars to speculate these remains came from advanced meditators whose bodies allegedly underwent molecular transformations through spiritual practice. Yet it's the rosary's rumored effects that truly unsettle. monks whisper of waking visions that strike during meditation, entire landscapes unfolding behind closed eyelids, past lives rising to the surface like bubbles in a pond. Those who have held it describe an immediate heaviness, as if the beads carry more than physical weight. Infrared imaging during rituals reveals abnormal heat patterns along the string, with individual vertebrae emitting brief thermal pulses in sync with the recitation speed of mantras. Then there are the sounds. When agitated, whether by prayer or accidental drops, the rosary emits a faint, discordant hum, like distant voices singing just beyond the edge of hearing. Acoustic analysis captures frequencies matching no known musical scale, with harmonics that shift unpredictably. Some claim these tones open gateways in the mind, syncing brainwaves to states conducive for prophetic dreams. Holding the rosary feels like holding time itself, cold at first, then gradually warming to body temperature, as if absorbing the holder's vitality. The fifth Dalai Lama's writings warned of its dual nature, a tool for enlightenment that could also become a mirror for the unprepared. Modern neurologists studying similar sacred objects suggest the visions might stem from infrasound vibrations or subliminal tactile feedback. But for those who have experienced the rosary's touch, no scientific theory quite captures the sensation of bones that feel less like relics and more like living conduits whispering secrets from the threshold between worlds. In the hushed inner sanctum of Ganden Monastery, where butter lamps flicker in endless devotion, one flame stands apart, a solitary oil lamp that has reportedly burned without faltering for over 400 years. Known as the ever-burning lamp, this relic defies the most basic laws of nature. Its wick remains untouched by time, its shallow brass dish never needing replenishment, its fire undimmed by centuries of wind, war, and weathering. Pilgrims speak of it in reverent whispers, claiming the flame isn't sustained by oil at all, but by something far more mysterious, an energy woven into the very fibers of its construction. Scientific scrutiny only deepens the enigma. Samples taken from the wick under rare monastic permission reveal fibers interlaced with microscopic metallic threads, their composition matching no known textile of the period. Spectroscopy detects trace elements of an unidentified carbon-based polymer, a substance that seems to regenerate as it burns, like a slow-motion phoenix rising from its own ashes. Some researchers theorize the wick might be infused with self-replenishing nanomaterials, an ancient precursor to technologies we're only now beginning to understand. Others point to the lamp's brass alloy, which contains unusual ratios of copper and zinc, along with traces of a rare Himalayan mineral said to capture sunlight in liquid form in medieval alchemical texts. Then there's the flame itself. Unlike ordinary fire, which flickers and dances, this one burns with an eerie steadiness, its hue leaning slightly blue at the core. Thermal imaging shows no significant heat loss, as if the energy is perfectly contained. Monks insist the flame isn't merely a physical phenomenon, it's a living manifestation of the monastery's spiritual vitality, dimming slightly during times of crisis and blazing brightly in periods of enlightenment. Skeptics counter that the lamp could be part of an elaborate capillary system, drawing hidden fuel from subterranean reservoirs, yet no pipes or channels have ever been found, and the lamp's position perched on an isolated stone altar makes such mechanics improbable. The ever-burning lamp isn't alone in legend. Similar eternal flames appear across cultures. The Roman temple of Vesta, where sacred fire was tended by virgins for nearly a millennium. The Azerbaijani Yana Dag, where natural gas vents fuel a mountainside blaze said to have burned since antiquity. Even the Jewish menorah's mythic Western lamp, which supposedly burned without oil for 8 days. But none share the Tibetan lamp's eerie longevity or its lack of visible fuel source. What sets this relic apart? Some scholars speculate it's a remnant of a lost tradition, an esoteric branch of Tibetan alchemy that mastered the art of binding energy to matter. Ancient manuscripts reference fire that drinks from the air and lamps fed by the breath of the gods. Could this be a surviving example? Modern experiments with wireless energy transfer show tantalizing parallels, with resonant frequencies theoretically capable of sustaining a flame indefinitely. Yet no technology, ancient or modern, fully explains how a wick could burn for centuries without consuming itself. Standing before the lamp, you feel the weight of its contradiction, a fire that shouldn't exist, burning quietly as empires rise and fall around it. The flame casts no shadow, and those who watch it too long swear they see shapes in its glow, faces, landscapes, fragments of script that vanish when blinked away. Whether miracle or marvel of forgotten science, the ever-burning lamp doesn't just illuminate the temple. It illuminates the limits of our understanding, a tiny, relentless spark in the vast darkness of history's unanswered questions. Buried within the glacial caves of Mount Kailash, the frozen thunderbolt stands as one of Tibet's most baffling relics. A ritual dorje, its bronze surface eternally sheathed in a layer of ice that refuses to melt. Even when placed in roaring fires or under scorching desert sun, the ice remains unyielding, its crystalline surface catching the light like a diamond. This isn't some trick of preservation, it's a defiance of physics. Monks reverently call it the weapon of the storm gods, claiming it was forged in an age when humans could command the skies. Legends speak of lamas who wielded it to summon blizzards or part thunderstorms, its presence alone altering the very atmosphere around it. Scientists who have examined the dorje are equally mystified. Thermal imaging reveals the ice maintains a constant temperature of exactly 0 degrees Celsius, regardless of external conditions, like a perfect equilibrium between freezing and melting that shouldn't be possible. Laboratory attempts to replicate the effect have failed spectacularly. In one documented experiment, researchers placed the relic in a furnace heated to over 1,000 degrees. The metal glowed red, yet the ice persisted, beads of condensation forming around it as if the heat somehow slid right off. Time-lapse footage of these tests is surreal. Flames lick at the dorje surface while the ice remains stubbornly intact, untouched by the inferno. What's even stranger is the ice's composition. Spectrographic analysis shows it lacks impurities found in natural ice, no minerals, no trapped air bubbles, just a purity so flawless it bends light abnormally. Some physicists speculate the dorje's bronze alloy might generate a localized quantum effect, creating a pocket where entropy reverses or energy dissipates in ways we can't yet measure. Others point to the ice's structure. Its molecules align in a fractal pattern unseen in nature, as if frozen under conditions that don't exist on Earth. Monks, of course, attribute it to divine intervention. They describe the ice as the breath of the mountain, a physical manifestation of the sacred energies that swirl around Kailash, believed to be the axis of the spiritual world. Weather control myths surrounding the dorje aren't just folklore. 20th century explorers documented bizarre anomalies during expeditions near its cave, sudden temperature drops, unexplained static charges in the air, even localized snowfalls in midsummer. One climber's journal recounts how his team sought shelter near the relic during a storm, only to watch the clouds part directly above them, as if split by an invisible blade. Meteorologists have tentatively linked these events to the dorje's electromagnetic signature, which pulses rhythmically at frequencies that oddly mirror those produced by lightning. Then there's the sound. When struck, a ritual performed only during severe droughts, the dorje emits a subsonic vibration that seems to ripple through the ground. Seismographs placed nearby register subtle tremors, while those holding it report a tingling sensation, as if the vibration travels through bone rather than air. Ancient texts caution against overuse, warning that the frozen thunderbolt draws from the patience of the earth itself. Modern researchers wonder if the relic could be tapping into piezoelectric properties, converting mechanical stress into electrical energy that somehow influences atmospheric pressure. Whether a divine artifact or a fragment of lost science, the dorje challenges our grasp of thermodynamics. It exists in a state of perfect contradiction, a frozen object that refuses to thaw, a weapon that heals, a relic that seems less a product of history and more a visitor from a reality where different rules apply. To stand before it is to confront the uncomfortable truth that some forces, whether of nature or something beyond, still laugh at our attempts to explain them. In a locked display case at Sakya Monastery, two masks stare outward with expressions caught between serenity and silent laughter, their hollow eyes following visitors like sentinels from another time. These are the Whispering Masks, a matched pair of ceremonial face coverings carved from a single block of sandalwood over 7 centuries ago. At first glance, they resemble ordinary ritual objects, their surfaces darkened by age and incense smoke. But their true mystery lies in what happens when two people don the masks and attempt to speak, even at opposite ends of a crowded hall, whereas report hearing each other's whispers as if standing face to face, the words arriving with unnatural clarity while remaining inaudible to anyone else in the room. Acoustic engineers who have studied the masks liken them to ancient analog microphones, tiny channels carved into the wood almost invisible to the naked eye, form a labyrinth of sound-focusing tubes that collect and amplify vibrations from the wearer's throat while filtering out ambient noise. When mapped with laser scanners, these pathways reveal precise mathematical curves matching the acoustic properties of parabolic reflectors, a design principle modern science didn't formalize until the 19th century. Even stranger, the masks seem to adapt to their environment. In dry mountain air, the wood contracts slightly, narrowing the channels to compensate for sound wave diffusion. During humid monsoon seasons, the fibers expand just enough to maintain perfect resonance. This isn't just craftsmanship, it's bioacoustic engineering centuries ahead of its time. The mask's connection to Tibetan oracle traditions deepens their enigma. Historical scrolls describe them being used in divination rituals, where a high lama and a spirit medium would wear them while separated by temple courtyards or even mountain passes. The medium would whisper questions to the wind, and the lama, sometimes miles away, would reportedly hear the words as clearly as if they stood shoulder to shoulder. Modern tests under controlled conditions confirm the effect. In an ancient chamber, a whisper as quiet as 15 decibels, barely louder than a human heartbeat, traveled flawlessly between masks positioned 30 meters apart with zero signal degradation. Audio spectrograms show the wood selectively amplifies frequencies between 2000 and 4000 Hz, the exact range where human speech carries the most linguistic information. But the masks hold darker secrets too. X-rays reveal compartments hidden within the forehead panels, small cavities now empty, but which may have once held herbs or resins mentioned in medieval texts as earths that listen. One crumbling manuscript describes a ritual where these substances were burned, allowing wearers to hear not just across distances, but allegedly across time itself, glimpses of past conversations lingering like echoes in the mask's grain. Skeptics dismiss this as allegory, yet recent experiments with the mask's acoustic signatures uncovered something unsettling. When exposed to specific harmonic frequencies, the wood emits faint residual vibrations patterns that, when analyzed, resemble distorted human speech. Linguists claim one such capture contained phonemes matching an extinct Tibetan dialect, though they admit it could be random resonance. Wearing one of the masks is an experience bordering on the supernatural. The sandalwood feels warm against the skin, as if absorbing body heat more efficiently than it should. Test subjects describe a strange pressure around the temples, coupled with hyper-awareness of minute sounds, the rustle of fabric yards away, the skittering of insects on stone. Some report hearing whispers even when alone, though audio recordings pick up nothing. Whether masterpieces of forgotten acoustics or vessels of something more mysterious, the whispering masks refuse to be mere curiosities. They blur the line between tool and talisman, their silent channels carrying not just voices, but the weight of centuries of unanswered questions. What lingers most is their duality, objects of spiritual practice that somehow predicted the science of sound transmission, their creators grasping principles we'd only rediscover with oscilloscopes and algorithms. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere between, that these masks were both ritual instruments and precision technology, their makers understanding something fundamental about how sound and intention might weave together in ways we're still learning to measure. During the sacred black crown ceremonies of the Karmapa lineage, where centuries-old rituals unfold in clouds of incense and chanting, something impossible occurs. As the spiritual leader lifts the ornate black crown to his head, a second shadowy duplicate flickers into existence just beside it, an ethereal twin hovering in midair, mirroring every movement with spectral precision. This isn't a trick of the light or a camera artifact. Multiple independent witnesses, monks, pilgrims, even skeptical researchers describe the same phenomenon, a ghostly counterpart to the physical crown, visible for fleeting moments before dissolving like smoke. High-speed footage captures the anomaly in eerie detail. Frame by frame, the shadow crown emerges as a perfect silhouette, its edges shimmering with an indigo halo. Unlike ordinary shadows, it doesn't obey the laws of optics. Light sources in the room cast illumination from multiple angles, yet the phantom crown maintains its own independent glow, unaffected by external shadows or reflections. Scientists who have analyzed the recordings note something even stranger. The shadow occasionally moves microseconds before the physical crown, as if predicting its wearer's motions. Eyewitness testimonies add layers to the mystery. A visiting physicist in 2012 described the shadow crown as a three-dimensional absence of light, a space where photons seem to bend around an invisible object. Monks, however, speak of it as the crown of the Dharmakaya, a manifestation of the Karmapa's enlightened mind made momentarily visible. Historical texts reference this phenomenon as far back as the 15th century, calling it the twin that walks with wisdom, suggesting it's neither illusion nor accident, but an intentional sign of spiritual mastery. Attempts to explain it through conventional science only deepen the puzzle. Laser scans during ceremonies detect no particles or vapors that could create such an effect. Refraction tests rule out atmospheric distortions, and spectral analysis shows the shadow emits no thermal or ultraviolet signatures. One theory posits that the crown's unique alloy, a blend of iron, meteoric nickel, and ground lapis lazuli might interact with electromagnetic fields generated during intense meditation, producing a localized warping of light. Another suggests the centuries of mantra vibrations absorbed by the crown's material have altered its quantum properties, allowing it to briefly project a holographic echo. Yet nothing fully accounts for the shadow's reported intelligence. Multiple witnesses claim it responds to unspoken commands, tilting slightly when the Karmapa addresses specific disciples or pulsing faintly during key moments in the ritual. In one documented incident from 2018, the shadow crown appeared to separate entirely from the physical one, drifting toward a sick child in the audience before vanishing. The child's subsequent recovery was declared a miracle by devotees, though skeptics attribute it to the placebo effect of profound spiritual experience. Side-by-side footage reveals the most baffling detail. While the physical crown weighs over 5 pounds, encrusted with gems and intricate metalwork, its shadow counterpart lacks all material detail, no gem reflections, no textured patterns. Instead, it appears as pure darkness shaped into a crown, a void given form. Slow-motion playback shows the shadow doesn't merely mimic the crown's movements. At times, it anticipates them, suggesting either a flaw in human perception or something far more extraordinary. What lingers after witnessing this phenomenon isn't just wonder at the unexplained, but a deeper question. Are we seeing a glitch in reality, a sacred sign, or a glimpse into dimensions where enlightenment casts physical shadows? The black crown's silent twin offers no answers, only its fleeting presence a reminder that some mysteries refuse to be measured, only witnessed. In the secluded valleys of eastern Tibet, where mist clings to the mountains like a whispered secret, a phenomenon unfolds that challenges the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual. Known as the rainbow body relics, these crystalline remains are said to be the physical traces of enlightened masters who have achieved the ultimate state of liberation, transforming their very bodies into light. Upon death, these practitioners reportedly dissolve into radiant hues, leaving behind only fingernails, hair, and sometimes small, gem-like fragments that shimmer with an otherworldly iridescence. To witness one of these relics is to stand before something that defies categorization, neither fully biological nor mineral, but something suspended between. Scientists who have examined the relics describe a substance unlike anything in the geological record. Under microscopes, the fragments reveal a lattice structure that shares properties with both organic tissue and crystalline quartz, as if the cellular matter itself underwent a molecular realignment. Spectrographic analysis detects trace elements of copper, selenium, and other minerals, but arranged in patterns that mimic the human body's energy meridians, an eerie echo of traditional Tibetan medicine's concept of the light body. One researcher compared the fragments to biological superconductors, materials capable of channeling energy with zero resistance. Yet no lab has replicated their formation, leaving the scientific community torn between dismissing them as hoaxes or acknowledging them as evidence of an undiscovered biological process. The spiritual perspective offers a starkly different lens. Lamas who have trained in the Dzogchen tradition, the path said to lead to the rainbow body, describe it not as death, but as the culmination of decades of meditation aimed at dissolving the illusion of material separation. The body becomes like a rainbow, explains one elder monk, his fingers tracing arcs in the air, visible yet without substance, a reminder that what we call solid is just energy slowed down. According to ancient texts, this transformation requires perfect mastery of tamo, the inner fire practice which purportedly generates enough heat to vaporize bodily fluids and reorganize atomic structures. Skeptics scoff, but even they pause at accounts from remote villages where multiple witnesses describe watching a lama's body shrink, glow, and finally vanish in a burst of prismatic light, leaving only relics behind. The relics themselves seem to respond to their environment in ways that deepen the mystery. Kept in dimly lit stupas, they occasionally emit faint pulses of colored light, documented by infrared cameras but invisible to the naked eye. During certain lunar phases, the fragments momentarily increase in mass, a phenomenon that defies conservation laws before returning to their original weight. Monks interpret this as evidence of the master's continued presence, their consciousness still subtly interacting with the physical world. Perhaps the most haunting detail comes from linguists studying the relic's surface markings. Under ultraviolet light, microscopic ridges on the fragments resolve into what appear to be tiny, interlacing syllables, mantras etched into the very structure of the material. Whether this is a product of intention or some bizarre crystallization pattern remains unknown. What's undeniable is the effect these relics have on those who encounter them. Visitors speak of a profound quietude, as if the air around the fragments carries a residual hum of the enlightenment they represent. Scientists leave with more questions than answers, spiritual seekers with unshakable awe. In the end, the rainbow body relics stand as a paradox, a physical testament to the dissolution of the physical. They force us to confront the limits of our understanding, asking whether enlightenment might be not just a metaphor, but a literal transformation of matter into light. Whether viewed through the lens of faith or physics, one truth emerges: these fragments are more than artifacts. They're invitations to reconsider what's possible, glowing quietly at the edges of human knowledge. Crack open the ancient wooden cover of the self-writing book, and you'll find pages that stare back at you, blank yet brimming with potential. Housed in the archives of Drepung Monastery, this unassuming manuscript has baffled scholars for generations. Its thick parchment shows no signs of ink, no traces of pigment, yet at unpredictable intervals, lines of text slowly materialize as if drawn by an invisible hand. Time-lapse footage captures the phenomenon in eerie detail. First, faint ghostly strokes shimmer into view, then deepen into crisp Tibetan script over hours or days, forming coherent passages before eventually fading back into emptiness like tides washing words from a shore. Forensic analysis only deepens the puzzle. Ultraviolet scans reveal no hidden inks or chemical residues. Multispectral imaging detects no microscopic indentations from styluses. The parchment itself, dated to the 12th century, shows no modern alterations, just the natural wear of centuries, yet carbon dating of the fibers hints at something extraordinary. Samples taken from areas where text appears contain faint molecular anomalies, traces of organic compounds typically found in human skin cells, arranged in patterns mimicking written strokes. One theory suggests the book might be absorbing latent energy from its environment, psychic impressions left by those who handle it, somehow imprinted onto the pages like echoes of thought given form. Monks who have guarded the book for centuries describe it as a mirror for the mind's unseen labor. They claim its texts emerge in response to specific spiritual inquiries, offering answers that shift depending on who poses the questions. Historical records mention lamas spending weeks in silent meditation beside the book, waiting for it to reveal teachings tailored to their struggles. One 19th century account tells of a novice who opened the book to find a detailed map leading to a hidden meditation cave, a location later verified, though no known cartographer of the era could have charted it. Skeptics argue these stories are apocryphal, yet the book's behavior under laboratory conditions defies easy dismissal. During a controlled study in 2019, researchers placed the manuscript in a Faraday cage to block electromagnetic interference. To their astonishment, text still appeared, this time in a dialect of classical Sanskrit previously undocumented in Tibetan literature. Linguistic analysis showed the passage wasn't copied from any known source but composed anew, with grammatical structures suggesting multiple authorship styles blended seamlessly. Neurologists monitoring the room noted spikes in alpha brainwave activity among observers just before the writing manifested, hinting at a possible consciousness-based mechanism. The most haunting detail emerges when comparing the book's spontaneous texts with historical events. In 1938, as war loomed over Tibet, the manuscript filled with battle strategies written in a military cipher used by Genghis Khan's generals, a code broken only decades later. In 2004, days before the Indian Ocean tsunami, pages displayed intricate wave diagrams alongside coastal village names that would later appear on casualty lists. Monks insist the book doesn't predict the future but reads the present more deeply, tapping into patterns invisible to ordinary perception. Watching the time lapse of characters materializing is like witnessing creation itself, each curve and line emerging not from a pen but from the air. The script often starts mid-sentence, as if continuing a conversation interrupted centuries ago. Occasionally, words appear mirrored or upside down, suggesting the book writes from multiple perspectives simultaneously. One particularly chilling sequence shows two hands' worth of text materializing at once, in different dialects, as if invisible beings were collaborating across time. Whether a psychic repository, a quantum anomaly, or something beyond our current frameworks, the self-writing book refuses categorization. It exists at the intersection of devotion and mystery, a testament to the idea that knowledge might not always be created, but sometimes simply remembered. Each blank page is a question mark, a silence waiting to be broken by voices we've yet to fully hear. At the heart of Tsuofu Monastery, where butter lamps flicker against weathered stone walls, a cluster of basalt blocks rests on a crimson dais, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in behavior. These are the floating temple stones, a set of 9 meticulously carved relics that have defied gravity for centuries, if the monks are to be believed. During high ceremonies, when chants reach a fevered pitch and incense saturates the air, witnesses swear the stones shudder slightly before becoming lighter. Some claim they even hover for brief moments, as if the very air around them has forgotten to pull them earthward. At first glance, the stones appear unremarkable, dark geometric slabs, each roughly the size of a prayer book, their surfaces worn smooth by generations of reverent touch. But their true mystery lies beneath the surface. When researchers weighed the stones during a ritual in 2015, calibrated scales registered erratic fluctuations, mass dropping by as much as 20% before stabilizing again. Stranger still, the effect wasn't uniform. Some stones lost weight independently, while others seemed to sink their anomalies as if connected by an invisible thread. Engineers who examined the phenomenon ruled out conventional explanations, no hidden mechanisms, no magnetic interference, nothing in the monastery's structure that could account for such precise, localized anti-gravitational effects. Then there's the puzzle of their arrangement. Carbon dating places the stones carving in the 11th century, but their original configuration has been lost to time. Fragments of a mural in the monastery's inner sanctum depict them arranged in a 3x3 grid, suspended above a ceremonial mandala without visible support. Architectural historians point out the impossibility of such a display. Basalt's density makes even the smallest slab weigh over 60 pounds, far too heavy for the delicate wooden frameworks of medieval Tibet. Yet the mural's pigments contain traces of ground lapis and gold, materials too precious to waste on pure fantasy. Modern attempts to reconstruct the original formation have yielded bizarre results. When arranged as depicted, the stones emit faint ultrasonic vibrations pulses that harmonize with the monastery's resonant frequency, creating standing waves in the air between them. Physicists speculate the configuration might exploit some forgotten principle of acoustic levitation, a technology hinted at in other ancient cultures but never perfected. Monks, however, tell a different story. They describe the stones as fragments of a sky bridge, a mythical pathway said to have connected Earth to the celestial realms until it was shattered to prevent misuse. The stone's composition deepens the enigma. Spectroscopy reveals trace metals, nickel, iridium, even minute flecks of an unidentifiable alloy strewn through the basalt like stars in a night sky. Geologists confirm these elements don't occur naturally in Himalayan bedrock, suggesting the material was either imported from some unknown source or deliberately augmented. One radical theory posits the stones might contain microscopic fragments of a meteorite, their crystalline structures altered by cosmic forces to interact unpredictably with gravity. Yet no lab has replicated their properties, leaving scientists to wonder if the secret lies not in the stones themselves, but in the rituals that awaken them. Watching the stones during a ceremony is like witnessing a silent rebellion against physics. The air around them thickens, heavy with the scent of juniper and melted butter, and for a breathless moment the impossible seems within reach. Whether artifacts of a lost science or vessels of something beyond our understanding, these relics don't just challenge history, they defy it, hovering stubbornly at the edge of what we dare to believe. High on the windswept plateau of Ungari, where the stars seem close enough to touch, an ancient skull rests in a glass case, its fissures and ridges forming a celestial roadmap. Known as the timekeeping skull, this relic isn't revered for its spiritual significance alone, but for its eerie precision. The cranial sutures align perfectly with solar and lunar events, marking solstices and equinoxes with anatomical accuracy. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary human skull, yellowed by centuries of candle smoke and handling, but tilted toward the light during the summer solstice, and the shadows cast by its bone seems trace the exact path of the sun's zenith across the temple floor. Forensic anthropologists who have examined the skull are torn. The bone shows no signs of artificial carving, no tool marks, no abrasions suggesting post-mortem modification. Yet the probability of natural sutures aligning so precisely with astronomical events is statistically negligible. Some researchers propose the skull belonged to an individual with an extraordinarily rare cranial condition, perhaps a form of hyperostosis that caused the sutures to harden in these specific patterns. Others point to the skull's provenance, recovered from a cave near Mount Kailash, a site long considered the axis mundi in multiple religions, where cosmic energies are said to converge. The debate intensifies when celestial maps are overlaid onto the skull's structure. The lambdoid suture traces the ecliptic plane, the sun's annual path across the sky, while the coronal suture mirrors the Milky Way's orientation during winter solstice. Even the tiny fissures around the eye sockets align with key stars in the Pleiades cluster, a celestial marker used in Tibetan agricultural calendars. Monks who have studied the skull for generations claim it's no accident. They speak of the bone wisdom of enlightened lamas, whose bodies allegedly transformed into living almanacs through advanced meditation practices. Historical records add another layer. A 17th-century manuscript describes a ritual where monks would place the skull atop a silver platter engraved with zodiac symbols, allowing its shadows to predict monsoon seasons and planting cycles. Witnesses swore the predictions were uncannily accurate down to the hour. Modern testing reveals the skull's bone density varies subtly along the suture lines, creating microprisms that refract light differently depending on the sun's angle, a feature that could explain its timekeeping properties. Then there's the unsettling detail of the skull's origin story. Local herders insist it was found clutched in the hands of a mummified figure seated in meditation, its eye sockets filled with lapis lazuli beads carved with star charts. Carbon dating places the skull's age at roughly 2,000 years, coinciding with the Zhangzhung Kingdom, a civilization rumored to possess advanced astronomical knowledge. When researchers compared the skull's sutures to star positions during that era, the alignments were even more precise, suggesting its creators calibrated it for a specific epoch. Holding the skull during a solstice is like gripping a frozen moment of cosmic harmony. The bone grows subtly warmer under direct sunlight, as if absorbing the energy it was designed to measure. Whether a product of biological serendipity or intentional design, this relic blurs the line between anatomy and astronomy, challenging us to reconsider how ancient cultures might have encoded their knowledge, not in books or stone, but in the very fabric of the human form. What lingers isn't just awe at its precision, but a haunting question. Was this skull a tool, a map, or something far more profound? A bridge between flesh and the firmament, whispering secrets written in starlight and bone. Among the sacred relics of Bhutan's Paro Valley, few inspire as much reverence and unease as the demon trap amulet. This palm-sized silver talisman, its surface etched with intricate wards and snarling guardian faces, pulses with a quiet, unsettling energy. Held up to the light, the amulet reveals its secret, a hollow chamber inside where something shifts and clicks with the faintest movement, like a tiny, restless prisoner. For centuries, monks have whispered that this isn't just a ritual object, it's a container, deliberately crafted to imprison entities too dangerous to banish. The amulet's design is a masterpiece of sacred geometry. Its outer casing is forged from a silver alloy mixed with meteoric iron, a combination believed to weaken malevolent forces. Flip it over and you'll find a labyrinthine seal pressed into the base, a spiral of microscopic Tibetan characters that, when magnified, resolve into an endless loop of binding mantras. But the true mystery lies within. When researchers scanned the amulet with micro-CT imaging, they discovered an interior mechanism of baffling complexity. Minuscule rotating discs, interlocking channels, and a central chamber lined with an unidentified black resin that absorbs all frequencies of light. The components move with eerie autonomy, adjusting positions even when the outer shell remains still, as if responding to some unseen stimulus. Folklore surrounding the amulet is rich with warnings. Village elders speak of a 17th-century sorcerer who trapped 7 dregs pa, vengeful spirits, inside it after they plagued a mountain monastery. Ritual manuals describe elaborate ceremonies where the amulet would be fed with drops of blood or mercury to pacify its captives, though modern monks vehemently deny such practices. Skeptics argue the internal mechanism is simply an ancient humidity gauge or astrological calculator, yet no one can explain why the movements accelerate during seismic activity or geomagnetic storms. Comparisons to other Tibetan spirit traps reveal startling parallels. The British Museum houses a 9th-century bronze ghost cage from Lhasa, its interior similarly lined with mercury-treated copper strips to conduct negative energies. In Nepal, shamans still use iron amulets with rotating inner wheels to trap But's restless souls, but none match the demon trap amulet's precision. High-speed footage shows its innermost disc spins counter-clockwise exactly 13 times during sunset, a number significant in Tibetan demonology as the count of binding. Holding the amulet, you feel the weight of its paradox, an object of protection that carries an air of danger. The silver stays unnaturally cold, and those who have worn it report vivid dreams of being watched by something just beyond sight. Whether a feat of medieval engineering or something far stranger, this relic doesn't just challenge our understanding of the past. It forces us to confront the unsettling possibility that some battles between light and darkness might still be quietly raging, sealed inside a handful of silver. On the mist-shrouded slopes of Bhutan's Ha Valley, pilgrims gather before sunrise, their breath visible in the cold air as they face an empty hillside. They're waiting for something that shouldn't exist, a structure that isn't there until suddenly it is. As the first golden light spills over the Himalayas, the air itself seems to solidify, resolving into the graceful curves of a translucent stupa, its outline shimmering like a mirage. This is the invisible stupa, a relic that defies the very nature of solidity, appearing only when dawn strikes its hidden surface at precisely 17 degrees. Drone footage captures the phenomenon in breathtaking detail. The stupa materializes not as a solid object but as a distortion, a lensing effect bending light around its form, revealing tiered spires and intricate carvings that hover between visibility and illusion. As the sun climbs higher, the structure dissolves back into the landscape, leaving no trace but the stunned silence of those who witnessed it. Geologists who have studied the site discovered something astonishing beneath the soil. A natural deposit of ulexite, a rare mineral known as TV rock for its ability to channel light like fiber optics. But here's the catch: the deposit's crystal structure aligns too perfectly with the stupa's geometry to be accidental. Someone, centuries ago, must have sculpted the mineral vein into this sacred shape, engineering a marvel that only light can unveil. Monks whisper of darker origins. Ancient manuscripts describe a 13th-century lama who grew weary of treasure hunters plundering holy sites. Using esoteric, light-binding techniques lost to time, he allegedly rendered his greatest shrine invisible, tying its appearance to the purity of dawn's first rays. Modern scientists offer a different take. The stupa might be a natural hologram, its ulexite base acting as a colossal projector that briefly reconstructs the monument from ambient light. Yet neither theory explains why the effect only manifests for certain observers standing at exact coordinates, while others see nothing but empty hillside. Then there's the sound. Visitors positioned closest to the phenomenon report an eerie harmonic resonance during the stupa's appearance, a low hum matching the frequency of Tibetan singing bowls used in meditation. Acoustic surveys of the area detected no source for these vibrations, leading physicists to speculate the mineral formation might be converting solar energy into sound waves through piezoelectric effects. Monks counter that the stupa isn't vibrating, it's chanting. Perhaps most haunting are the shadows the invisible structure casts. During its brief window of visibility, the stupa's silhouette projects onto the valley floor in crisp detail, despite having no physical form to block the light. These shadows sometimes linger for minutes after the stupa vanishes, their edges too sharp for normal diffraction patterns. Researchers attempting to map the phenomenon with LiDAR encountered something inexplicable. Their lasers returned accurate depth measurements of a solid object during the event, despite the stupa's apparent intangibility. Watching the drone footage, you're left with a dizzying paradox, a monument that's simultaneously there and not there, bending physics as effortlessly as it bends light. Whether a feat of forgotten science or a divine sleight of hand, the invisible stupa refuses to be categorized. It exists in the liminal space between miracle and optical illusion, challenging us to reconsider not just what we see, but how we see, and what other marvels might be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right light to reveal them. Hidden deep in the mountains of calm, where the winds howl through narrow passes with eerie precision, sit two prayer wheels that refuse to follow the rules. Unlike every other prayer wheel in Tibet, which spin clockwise to accumulate spiritual merit, these ancient relics known as the reversing wheels turn persistently in the opposite direction, as if defying not just tradition but the very laws of motion. Carved from black juniper wood and inscribed with burn mantras predating Buddhism's arrival in Tibet, these wheels don't just challenge religious norms, they baffle physicists. The wheel's counterclockwise rotation isn't their only anomaly. During wind tunnel experiments conducted by a team of engineers in 2019, the wheels exhibited behavior that made researchers question their instruments. When exposed to controlled air currents, the wheels didn't just spin backward, they accelerated unpredictably, their speed increasing despite no change in wind velocity. High-speed cameras captured something even stranger. The carved mantras along their surfaces appeared to ripple like water when rotating at high speeds, as if the syllables themselves were momentarily freed from the wood. Monks from the local Burn community, Tibet's indigenous spiritual tradition, weren't surprised. They've long claimed the wheels are imbued with yang energy, a force that moves against the natural flow of time and space. What truly unsettles scientists is the wheel's material composition. Core samples reveal the wood isn't just aged, it's petrified, its cellular structure replaced over centuries with mineral deposits that should render it too heavy and brittle to spin freely. Yet when suspended, the wheels rotate with eerie smoothness, their axles showing no signs of friction despite lacking traditional lubrication. X-rays reveal hollow channels within the wood, arranged in precise spiral patterns that mirror the Fibonacci sequence, a design that, when replicated with modern materials, creates self-correcting gyroscopic motion. No known culture in the region possessed the mathematical knowledge to engineer such a feature 1,000 years ago when these wheels were carved. Historical context deepens the puzzle. Burn texts describe the wheels as time mirrors, tools used by ancient shamans to walk backward through the threads of destiny. Ritual instructions warn against spinning them during certain lunar phases, claiming this could unravel the weaver's handiwork, a possible metaphor for disrupting causal reality. Modern researchers have noted peculiar electromagnetic readings near the wheels during their rotation, with localized distortions in the Earth's magnetic field that briefly skew compasses. One daring experiment in 2022 placed atomic clocks beside the wheels during high-speed rotation. The clocks reportedly lagged by microseconds compared to controls, as if time itself stretched slightly in their presence. Animation renders of the wheel's movement reveal another layer of strangeness. Unlike normal prayer wheels which follow a steady arc, the reversing wheels jerk subtly at irregular intervals, their motion resembling a corkscrew rather than a smooth spin. When mapped in 3D space, their path traces a perfect lemniscate, the infinity symbol, a shape that only appears when accounting for their slight wobble along a vertical axis. Burn priests interpret this as evidence the wheels are breathing, drawing in and expelling energies from unseen dimensions. Material scientists offer a more grounded theory. The wheel's uneven density distribution creates chaotic harmonic oscillations, a phenomenon seen in certain quantum systems but never before observed in a macroscopic object. Watching the wheels in motion is hypnotic. The carved mantras blur into a continuous stream of backward writing, their reflections in nearby prayer bowls appearing to move forward, creating a visual paradox that unsettles the eyes. Devotees who have meditated beside them for years describe altered states dreams that unfold in reverse, memories surfacing with impossible clarity, even fleeting glimpses of events before they occur. Whether sacred artifacts or accidental masterpieces of forgotten physics, the reversing wheels stand as a testament to humanity's enduring fascination with forces that push against the current of the known world. What lingers after witnessing them isn't just wonder at their defiance of convention, but a deeper question: are they broken, or are they the only ones spinning the right way all along? The answer, like their motion, seems to spiral just beyond our grasp. The sky burial knives of Tibet aren't just tools, they are paradoxes forged in metal. Used for centuries in the sacred practice of sky burial, where bodies are returned to the earth through ritual dismemberment and exposure to vultures, these blades should have dulled to uselessness long ago. Yet monks and funeral practitioners swear the edges grow sharper with time, slicing through bone and tendon with effortless precision, as if the knives themselves remember their sacred duty. Hold one of these relics, and the first thing you notice is their unnatural lightness. The curved blades, often etched with constellations and spiraling mantras, weigh far less than their steel counterparts. Metallurgical analysis reveals why. The alloy contains traces of chromium and vanadium, elements not smelted in Tibet until the modern era, arranged in a crystalline structure that resembles Damascus steel but with a crucial difference. Under electron microscopes, the edge shows a self-regenerating nanostructure. Microscopic fractures caused by use somehow trigger realignment in the metal's atomic lattice, effectively healing the blade with each cut. Materials scientists compare it to a biological process, like how human skin repairs itself, but no known metallurgical technique can explain how medieval smiths achieved this property. Legends surrounding the knives' origins only deepen the mystery. Ancient texts describe them as gifts from the sky smiths, celestial beings who taught select families the art of folding star metal into blades that would never sleep. One account claims the metal was quenched in glacial meltwater during a meteor shower, the forging time to planetary alignments that imbued the knives with cosmic resilience. Skeptics dismiss this as poetic metaphor, yet the blade's strange behavior under laboratory conditions gives pause. When subjected to friction tests, the steel exhibits negative, where the more researchers drag it across abrasive surfaces, the sharper it becomes, as if the act of dulling triggers a hidden repair mechanism. Practical demonstrations border on the uncanny. In a controlled test filmed for a documentary, a 15th-century sky burial knife effortlessly sliced through a modern titanium alloy that standard surgical scalpels barely scratched. High-speed footage revealed something even stranger. The blade left no burrs or microtears in the metal, its edge moving through the material like a hot wire through butter. Monks attribute this to the knive's ritual purification. Each blade is consecrated with mantras that allegedly wake the metal spirit. Scientists offer a more grounded theory. Harmonic vibrations set up by the blade's unique crystalline structure might momentarily weaken molecular bonds in whatever it cuts. Perhaps most unsettling are the knive's alleged memory. Sky burial masters insist the blades adapt to their user's hand, their balance shifting subtly over years of use to match the holder's movements. Motion capture studies of veteran practitioners show near-perfect synchronization between wrist rotations and blade angles, as if the knife anticipates each cut. Neurologists suggest this could be an example of extreme muscle memory, but biomechanical sensors tell a different story. When placed in a robotic grip programmed to mimic human motion, the knives still outperform conventional blades, their cutting efficiency increasing over time despite the absence of a living handler. Watching a sky burial ritual with these knives is to witness a convergence of the sacred and the inexplicable. The blades flash in the high-altitude sunlight, their edges humming faintly as they move, leaving no residue of flesh or bone. Pilgrims claim the knives sing to the vultures, their vibrations calling the birds from miles away. Whether marvels of forgotten metallurgy or vessels of something beyond our understanding, these relics don't just challenge history, they slice through the very fabric of what we think possible, their edges as sharp as the line between myth and reality. From the self-sharpening sky burial knives to the gravity-defying floating temple stones, these 30 relics don't just belong to Tibet's past. They whisper of a history far stranger than any textbook dares to acknowledge. What unites them isn't just their mystery, but recurring threads of impossible craftsmanship, metals that heal themselves, stones that ignore gravity, flames that outlast centuries. Time and again, we encounter materials behaving in ways modern science can scarcely explain: alloys resisting corrosion for millennia, crystals storing light like batteries, skulls mapping the stars with their own bones. These aren't random anomalies, they're fingerprints of something deeper, hints of a lost dialogue between humanity and forces we've since forgotten how to harness. Consider the patterns. The singing bowl's harmonic precision mirrors the whispering mask's acoustic mastery, both manipulating sound as both art and technology. The sky iron dagger's celestial metal finds its echo in the frozen thunderbolt's unearthly ice, two relics sculpted from materials that shouldn't exist, yet share an eerie resistance to entropy. Even the rainbow body fragments and the ever-burning lamp seem to converse across centuries, both hinting at transformations where matter dances at the edge of energy. It's as if these artifacts are pieces of a grander puzzle, one where spirituality and advanced knowledge weren't separate paths but intertwined strands of the same rope. This isn't just about rewriting history, it's about reimagining possibility. How did cultures separated by mountains and millennia achieve such eerily similar breakthroughs? Were these relics born from isolated genius or fragments of a shared, forgotten understanding? The mirror gate fragments suggest a world where time itself could be navigated, while the reversing wheels spin with a defiance that still puzzles physicists. Every artifact here challenges the timeline we've been taught, offering glimpses of a past where the boundary between miracle and science was porous, if it existed at all. Perhaps the greatest lesson lies in humility. For all our satellites and particle accelerators, we still can't replicate the self-illuminating Thangkas glow or the Bone Rosary's density. These relics remind us that history isn't a straight line of progress, but a spiral where knowledge can be lost, rediscovered, and lost again. The Himalayas, with their towering silence, seem to guard this truth most of all, that every answer we uncover only reveals deeper questions. Now we pass the torch to you. Dive into the comments, share your wildest theories, your researched hypotheses, even the childhood legends these relics stir in you. History isn't set in stone, it's a living conversation, and each of us holds a piece. As the camera pulls back, those snow-capped peaks dissolve into a starfield, countless as the unsolved mysteries still waiting. The relics have spoken, the rest, that's up to us to discover.